Hey guys, in this video we'll be continuing with the Python video tutorials. We'll be going over the finally clause in regards to exceptions. So this will be the last video on exceptions. We'll be moving on to sequences and lists and tuples. Then I believe we'll be doing dictionaries, and that should almost be everything. Then we'll be moving on to C#. So we have so I'll just give you guys a definition. So the try except statement may have an optional finally clause which must appear after all the except clauses. So we'll probably just use this code actually that we just used in the last video. If you guys are watching the playlist, if you haven't watched the playlist, the videos in the playlist, I try to start from the beginning if you can, because you won't understand what's happening. So basically, the general format of a try except statement with a finally clause is we have the try block, and then the except block, maybe an else block, and then we'll have the finally clause after that. Or the finally block after that, probably here. If not here. So we'll try both. We'll see which one it likes. Both might actually work. I guess just depends on the language, in this case Python, so we'll just try it out. So pretty much the block of statements that appears after the finally clause in Python is known as the finally suite. The statements in the finally suite are always executed after the try suite has executed. So, and after any exception handlers have executed. So basically the difference between the finally and the else clause in regards to exceptions is that the finally suite is always executed after the try suite. So basically, whether an exception is raised or not, it's going to execute. So it executes either way. So basically it's a way to, for example, close a file stream or save some data that you want to have. Maybe it's like mandatory, like critical data that you need to transfer something if there's an exception, if there's an error. If there is, you have a way to save that data or something, transfer it, whatever you need to do. So pretty much, again, the statements in the finally suite are always executed after the try suite has executed and after any exception handlers have executed. The statements in the finally suite execute whether an exception occurs or not. The purpose of the finally suite is to perform cleanup operations such as closing files or other resources. Also, I guess, critical operations that need to be done either way. Any code that is written in the finally suite will always execute even if the try suite raises an exception. So pretty much let's just try to add a finally clause or finally block in here. So I think we could just put it here. We'll just print that. We'll just print something, finally block executed. We got here, something, whatever, just to show that we got to this line. Is that the right, maybe not the right spot. Okay, let's move that over here. Okay, so it doesn't like it after, it doesn't like it, I believe it doesn't like it before the else. Whoops, what's happening here? Oh, what did I do? Okay, that was not what I wanted to do. Okay, there. So it likes it, the finally block, basically the Python interpreter likes to finally block underneath the else, if you have an else. And I think if we don't have an else, it should be fine under the except. Yep, that's right. So it basically, if you have an else clause, or you have an else block that's associated with a try block and except block, not like an if else, but if you're trying to add an else to the try except block, in regards to exceptions, then you need to have the finally block underneath that else block. So we'll just keep it like that for now. So let's just run this. So after the whole code executes, basically the finally block executes. So it tells us that the finally block executed we got here. Pretty much because it's at the end of all the code, so either way it just kind of happens at the end. If we now try to make this a float, then we should get a type mismatch value error. So as you can see, this time we hit the exception. An exception was raised. The error message was printed. It's telling us that it couldn't convert the float and string, couldn't run an operation with the float and string combined. Basically, you couldn't concatenate a float to a string, I think. Then it's telling us that after all that happened, after the exception was raised, the finally block was executed. So it printed our message. Wherever that went here. Okay, there it is. And after all that, we had system exit code of 0, which means that there was no error because we handled the exception. If we didn't handle the exception again, we'd have a 1 for the for an error code for a system ERR. So that's pretty much it. Just a quick video on the finally block in Python. In the next video, we'll be going over so the next chapter we'll be doing lists and tuples. So basically arrays. So in Python, arrays are lists. There's a little bit, there's a few differences. For example, you can have mixed types in one array. A few differences, pretty much the same thing. We'll go over it. And hopefully I'll see you guys there. So thanks for watching. If you guys liked the video, you can like and subscribe to the channel if you'd like for more programming tutorials. After Python, we'll be moving on to C#, Visual C#, the Microsoft framework for .NET. We'll be doing a series about as long as this one, maybe slightly longer, and I still have to get out those Android and XML tutorials. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.